Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of The Week in Hand. On this episode, I'm delighted to be joined by a fellow tattoo artist who I super admire, Simon Dewar. Is that right? Dewar?
Yeah, Dewar, yeah.
Dewar, yeah.
It'd probably help if you had a Scottish accent, but I don't have a Scottish accent either, so.
Is that where
it's
is it? Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, man, no way. Yeah, just before we pressed record, you were asking me about my run, man. Honestly, when it came down to being on lockdown, I knew I had to find a way to get something in, but I've got full custody of my son. I've always got my son, and then I have my daughter intermittently. So I had to try and find a way to do it, and I found a way. I found a way to get a run in, and the way I do it is I drive to the canal, and there's like a car park. I park on that car park, and I can see the car, so I can run. I wouldn't even know. I don't run out of distance of the car, so I'll run to one end, and then I'll run all the way back, and then I'll run round the car park, back to it, run back again, and I'll do 2 miles like that.
That's good, man. That's a really good way. I think that's totally acceptable. It's good.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I think the first thing that we're obviously going to talk about is the current situation, man. It's like being a tattoo artist and being in this situation. I honestly felt like as it got further and further towards this, that it was going to get to the point where this was going to happen to us, because although we are one of the most clinical professions in a certain sense, this virus is not spread by touching people, is it? You know?
No, it's just being in the environment of somebody. So, yeah, I started isolating probably first week in March. Wow. I have quite a vulnerable chest, so I'm kind of usually on pretty high alert in the studio around sort of winter anyway. So for me, it was kind of high priority really to not be in that space. So I'm going out of my mind at the moment, really.
Yeah. Oh, I bet, man. I bet. I think it's like
week 6, I think, or something like that. But I forget. You just forget how long you've actually been doing it now. But it's all right. I'm keeping myself focused. I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, I think perspective a lot of the time in this for me. Like, I'm trying to keep busy. I'm trying to keep my hands busy. Trying to keep a structure to a certain degree. And hoping and praying that it's not going to be. I struck a deal with the landlord of the shop where I tattoo out of, and I'm paid up now till September. He gave me like a discounted rate up until September, and he said,
"Oh, right, that's great."
He said, "I don't think we'll need it up to that." And I was like, and I was optimistically saying it, and then last night I was sat down on my own having a brew, and I was thinking, I hope we don't. I mean, September? No, we can't be September. It can't be September. And then I saw a post by Thomas, you know, from London, and he was saying, he was basically saying, I don't think we're going to be able to work until there's a vaccine created because of social distancing. And I'm just like, oh, shit.
It's a thing that you can't quite comprehend coming from a fairly intense industry, which ours is. It's a really it's a big impact on your life being a tattooist. We make a lot of sacrifices, and then all of a sudden it's not there. It's a really large part of your life that's gone, isn't it? I think it's driving a lot of people to despair, I think. And I think if we can try and help each other out, that's a really good thing. But yeah, I don't even want to think about having to wait that long, really.
No, I don't myself. I think it's going to be hard.
Yeah. For me, mentally, I'm trying to sort of maybe go week to week or something like that, just to make sure I've got enough to do to keep myself occupied. Today for me was quite a benchmark, really, because I haven't been out for 5 weeks. I live in a really rural area, so it's really lovely to see this scenery. It helps me get through the day. And today I kind of plucked up the courage to just, because I am so vulnerable, to go outside and just, enjoy a walk, you know, and it
Yeah.
felt like a reward. Really, it was really quite a surreal thing. But
Yeah. You
I
feel
have to be safe where, you know, because the virus would probably kill me. So I have to be really, really careful. I have to be really responsible.
Oh man, that's super interesting. It must have been hard for you. I think so. If you stopped at the start of March, was it the very start of March you stopped?
About the 9th, I think the last time I tattooed was the 9th of March.
Right. Yeah.
But you know, keeping myself busy with design work. I mean, one of the great things is we can actually get ahead with design work, which obviously when you're working full time in this job, it's so hard to get ahead, isn't it? Which
Yeah. I'm
is
generally.
really
Yeah.
really
I generally work from night to night. You know, like a lot of the time with customers.
Yeah, I don't know many people who can switch off in this industry. And I suppose in a way this has given people an opportunity to do that. Probably too much time, because tattooists tend to do a lot of thinking, and you know, it's very, very self-critical. So there's pros and cons, I guess, with not. I mean, obviously, aside from the money, obviously, but I think a lot of us have probably got a few quid that we can rely on just to get us through. I guess it just depends, I suppose. I mean, I was lucky enough to have a little bit of savings to live on until the other sort of help comes through. But I guess it's not the same for everybody.
No, I had
I'm
quite a bit.
pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I had quite a few savings, and I was happy to sit it out for a while. I did also receive a grant because I've obviously got my premises.
Yeah, sure.
It's a good amount of money. Obviously, it's a grant,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It's nice to be able to have that. It's nice to have a bit of freedom to just be like, okay, I'm happy to sit this out for a bit. And I'm happy to sit it out for obviously as long as it needs to be. I don't want to be doing any illegal, weird, like underground tattooing. I don't want to be doing any of that. That's not who I am.
Picture, I think everybody needs. This is only going to work if everybody's on the same page, and that's already been proven. So people just need to be patient, and I think that's probably one of the hardest lessons in life is patience. You know, that's true of any tattoo. It's true of any way you approach a tattoo, and it's just a good way to live your life. I think if we can all be a bit more patient, then you know this is gonna get resolved. You know, there's some people doing some really hard work, and they're trying to get it dealt with, aren't they?
Yeah.
But people just get frustrated, and then they get complacent, and then we're back to square one.
Yeah, man, definitely. So I want to let's maybe move away from COVID-19 because honestly, it's consumed my life. But you, I mean, I've never actually met you, but
no, sure, yeah.
I really admire your work. You seem to have come from my point of view. You seem to have come from nowhere in this area. I didn't know of you. So, where did you start tattooing? Where did you learn, and how did it come about? How long have you been doing it?
Well, thanks for your comments, man. I mean, that's true for me. When I first came here, there were a few people that were inspiring, and you were one of them to me. You know, you've obviously got a really great reputation, you know, and you've been in the industry a while. And to see people like you locally was a real help to me, because I don't follow tons of artists. You know, I try and just sort of, there are a few that have been influential, and I just try and sort of focus on what I'm doing. And I think mainly, particularly at the start, there were so many artists that was, you know, incredibly talented. And I think at the beginning it was really frustrating for me to see that quality of work from people when I wasn't really there. So I try, and at my age as well, because I was no real spring chicken when I started. I got into tattooing when I was 43. So, you know, I hadn't really picked a machine up before then. And this is something that most people do when they're, I don't know, in their late teens or, you know, early 20s. So it was a really, I found it quite imposing. It was a difficult industry for me to get into. I was working in wine. I worked in wine for probably about 10 years, studying wine, selling wine. And although, it's a subject that I'm really passionate about, I do still, still am passionate about wine. It wasn't really fulfilling, a kind of desire within me. I did product design and, automotive design when I left school. And I've done lots of different kind of creative things, but never really found one that I could really, really get passionate about. So I knew I managed to get an apprenticeship in Burnley at a studio that will remain nameless, but I was lucky enough to be offered an apprenticeship by the artist who owned that studio. And I knew that I was going to have to kind of hit the ground kind of running and really, really, get stuck in and work really, really solidly for the first sort of year while I was an apprentice. I think I was an apprentice there for about 9 months, and then met Elliot Maxwell, and he was really, really good. He really nurtured me and really just showed me basically how to put a half decent line in. So it really kind of he was kind of fundamental in the kind of skills that I learned early on. But yeah, I mean, I think this industry, you have to work solidly, you have to work hard, particularly at the beginning. And like I said, it's really frustrating, as you know, when you start off. And gradually, it gets a little bit easier. There's a little bit less pressure. But, you're always kind of pushing yourself. Always. I mean, I've never really been 100% satisfied in anything that I do, because there's always room for improvement. And you see so many different influences by different artists all over the world. And that's what's great about this industry. You can kind of continue to learn and push yourself forward. There's no real complacency. I don't ever want to be like that.
No, you honestly, man, you say some really, really, really valid stuff there. I do think it's a very, very good attitude to have as an artist in this industry, and just in general with life. You have to have that passion. It has to be there continuously. It doesn't stop when you go home. It carries on. You're not tattooing people at home, but you're keeping your mind stays focused. I think it's good.
I think you've got to be proud of what you do and proud of what you've achieved, but never really take it for granted. I think this industry it's a privilege to be involved in it. We are in really, really privileged positions. It's high responsibility, and you have to gain people's trust. And thankfully now, after sort of, I guess 5 years since I sort of picked up a machine, I'm starting to get some really, really good trust from people. And that's really, really nice. It's really satisfying. But it there's always room to improve, and that's the real drive that I have.
Yeah. You can see as well in your work just how incredibly focused you are on complete accuracy. I think that's one of the things I would say with you, complete, because obviously the genre of tattooing, the style of tattooing that you actually practice is super. It lends itself to being really, really regimented and looking perfect, and obviously that can give you a lot of headaches. But
I tell you, sometimes I do wonder whether I took the right path. The style that I chose, it's punishing work. It really does require a lot. I mean, all tattooing requires a huge level of
for sure.
Concentration. It doesn't matter what you do. It all does. But there's a lot of my stuff is all about form and shaping it and fitting it to the body. It really is, it's quite a challenge sometimes. As much as the actual process of tattooing. I mean, like as well as I do that, and everyone does that. The hard part really is the stencil. In a lot of cases, everything else isn't really. It's not really. It's the design and it's the stencil.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've given myself a real challenge a lot of the times. But it's good. I do like a challenge. I don't think I'd ever want to be a tattooist that was not challenged, if you know what I mean. That it's the challenge that really pushes you forward, and you can kind of feel some achievement when you've pushed yourself forward.
Yeah,
but, sometimes I wish I was a trad artist.
Hey man, see, this is the thing.
I'm only kidding, man. To make trad look like trad isn't as easy as it looks. No, it's not.
See, this is the thing. I think that's something that I've tried touching upon quite recently, and when you sit down to actually draw something, because I love drawing, so when you sit down to actually draw something, but your style lends itself to adding a little bit more of this and a little bit more of that, and that style is all about reducing all of that, you realize just how hard it is to render something that looks stylistically traditional and something a cool kid would want from Manchester. You know what I mean? It's hard.
Yeah. You're a great illustrator, though. You've got a lovely, lovely flowing illustrative style and a line confidence that in your sketch work is so apparent, I'm not like that. I can't sit down and just illustrate, I'm not ashamed to say that, that's not what I do. My kind of forte, I guess, is composition and form, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I do envy. I look at some people's work, and particularly really great neo-trad artists, and my heart sinks because I kind of secretly have a desire to be able to do that, but I can't.
That happens to that happens.
You have to know your limits, and that's just the way it is.
That happens to me all the time, man. I've been tattooing for 13 years, and since social media came about, I mean, we used to be tattoo magazines quite a lot, but they slowly fizzled away, as did conventions to a certain degree. But then social media was the one that used to drive me crazy, because you'd think you'd seen all the artists that were at the top of the pile, and then you'd see some other artists, and you're like, for crying out loud, like, how ridiculously clean and well executed is this tattoo artist? And then there's some
the speed as well, stuff they've produced in a relatively, and you think, this takes me this long, how on earth have you done that in that time? That's the thing that really I find difficult to, because I mean, I'm not a fast tattooist, I can line relatively quickly. But in terms of dot work, with pattern work and geometry, it's just not a quick process. Because I am quite meticulous, that's the thing that slows me down. And I do feel guilty sometimes. And I feel that the client isn't really, I don't know, not getting value for money, because I do appreciate that they're getting good value because of the quality, but I do wish sometimes I was quicker in the application.
Yeah,
I tend to sometimes charge accordingly. I do kind of give them a fairly reasonable rate, I suppose, in view of that.
I understand what you're saying there.
I wouldn't, I suppose.
No, I mean, that's just your own morals to a certain degree. But I will say this though, dude, your work, you're meticulous for a reason, and honestly, from an outsider's point of view, you can see your meticulousness, how meticulous you are with it, and people will pay that regardless. Doing this for 13 years, there's been times when I've been like, oh man, I think I took too long doing that, but then there's been times when I've produced something in no time at all, and I've been like, that's not a £200 tattoo, that's a £500 tattoo, and it's really weird how to gauge it. Some days you're faster than other days as well, it's a very
that's true. I mean,
flowy.
Like you say, we're not machines, are we? I mean, some days, physically, I'll struggle, depending particularly on where the body, which part of the body, how big the client is, just my general health. You know, if I'm feeling exhausted or tired, and generally on those days I won't work a big session. I'll stop because your work will affect your work. You know,
Yeah.
I won't just power through it. I mean, sometimes I will, but I think you have to be aware of your fitness and at my age as well. You know, I'm 50 in February, so you know things do start to hurt more when you get a bit older.
Yeah, and it's weird, isn't it? It's weird because it's the idea of like, you know, you realize just how much it can hurt, you can strain and hurt your body by sitting still. It sounds so ridiculous, but you learn how to, over the years, you feel like you start to learn how to actually learn how to sit still, because and 9 times out of 10, it's for me, I lean and I want to get closer and closer and closer to the work. Before I know it, I'm here and I'm like,
well, that's it. Well, I wear glasses, so I mean, I'm kind of like, and then you know, your eyesight deteriorates as well. So it's a miracle, but I'm still able to do it. Really, to be honest, I think people are doing them in the 70s, aren't they? So it's not all doom and gloom. But I think there's a lot of help you can do for yourself in terms of physicality, keeping yourself supple. I mean, that's the good thing about this. To go back to the COVID thing. It has given the body a rest because my elbow and my shoulder were knackered. I mean, and my back. I've also started yoga as well, which has been amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Just to get some stretching into the position, because you are, you know, depending on which hand you use to tattoo with and which to stretch, your body has a muscle memory, and it's very difficult for your body to switch off and completely relax. So the yoga is actually something that I'm going to continue to do anyway now. So that's it really does help.
Yeah, I really do hope that
but you're people. Pretty fit though, anyway. You do.
Yeah, I do quite a lot of stuff, and I do
stuff and
jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. I do hope that people. Because a lot of people seem to have been like, oh, I've got this time to do this now, so I'm gonna go for a walk, I'm gonna go for a run, I'm gonna do yoga, and I do hope people carry on practicing that kind of thing, because I do think a lot more people will work from home, and I think people will, as soon as you see how much the cognitive and physical benefits from actually moving your body and working your body.
That's exactly right. As soon as you get some benefit and you can see it, then making the effort, making that time, is going to be way more natural, because I think that's the problem with this industry that we have. It's making time for those other things, whether it's family or whatever. But the industry, the job that we both have it's so controlling. It's very difficult to break that control. So again, got to be more strict, I think, when I go back to work, in terms of how many hours I'm actually putting into the work, because the quality of life can suffer.
Yeah, I will say as well, I am not afraid to say that I am not one of these people. I know other artists, even local artists, that will sit and work on someone for 2 days straight, 6-7 hours a day. I'm not. I will definitely put my keys on the table and say right now that I am much more of a person that will come and do a 3 or 4 hour tattoo, and then I'm going to do something else that day. I've learned over the years. I can't. I've got one person in a day, and I can't.
You've been doing it a lot longer, and you've managed to be able to be disciplined in that respect. And I don't think I'm quite there yet. But hopefully, this break will give me an insight into looking after myself a little bit more. Really, I think. So working as much as I need to, and not going hell for leather, really. Which you have to do for the first few years, really, I guess, to get some, to get a client base. You do have to work really.
Yeah,
hard,
definitely.
Particularly in your own studio. We made the stupid idea of having 2 studios, which was a really silly thing to do. We were going to create this huge empire with I don't know whether it was a sign from God, but when we got flooded, in February at the Todd Morden studio. We all moved to the Burnley shop, and yeah, it's a lot easier to manage one.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that
it's
was
a good lesson there.
It's crazy, isn't it? That how we've gone from what seems like 2 seconds ago, like the constant rain, the floods, and everything, to the world shutting down, pretty much the whole world shutting down, and just this warm weather where there's gonna be droughts soon. You know what I mean? It's like it's absolutely insane. But I was gonna say I was going to ask you about that. You went from, did you originally have a Blackstone in Todmorden and there was no one in Burnley, and then you opened the Burnley one, and then you had two, and then you closed the Todmorden one?
Yes, that's right. We Elliot was working at the same studio as me in Burnley, where I did the apprenticeship, and then we decided we got on really well, and Elliot's got exactly the same work ethic as me. And he's so passionate, loves his work. He loves his job. So we decided, we were going to get on. We did, and we opened the place in Todmorden. We trust each other. We've got different roles, totally different roles, but it just works, and you've got that trust there. We both work hard, and it worked. It flourished. It was a really lovely studio. We built up a massive reputation locally. And then we decided to open one in Burnley as well, because half of our client base was coming from Burnley. Elliot's from Burnley.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it did work. It was a lot of extra work involved, but it did work. But just the floods, and it was such a risk every year. The flood risk was twice a year every year, and it got too much really. So we just decided, let's just concentrate on one studio in Burnley for now.
Yeah.
And who knows, we might, I don't know what we'll do really. We're just trying to get through obviously this.
Yeah.
And then maybe head towards a city, or, because the studio in Burnley is relatively quite small, and there's 5 of us there. So we'll see. We don't really have any solid plans in terms of the business at the moment.
So did you... So you alluded to before that you did some kind of a design course. You did a design course before. What kind of thing? What artistic endeavor did you pursue before you actually became a tattoo artist?
Yeah, I mean that was we're going back quite a long time here now.
Yeah.
But I mean I did further education when I was at school, and it was all consumer product design based. So all about aesthetics of products and ergonomics and packaging. So I had some graphic design background and design skills, and I think I did photography as well. So all of those things have kind of really, really helped in terms of the hand steadiness, the awareness of form. They've all really, really helped. I mean, it's quite a contrast. I mean, particularly with the wine, I can't really see that there's any kind of link with the wine in this job. But I guess you could say working in a consumer environment, I suppose, with the wine and with the general public, because you've got to be a fairly good communicator as a tattooist, haven't you? You've got to be friendly.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Even when you don't want to be, you've got to be reasonably friendly with people. But yeah, lots of different things. I did painting. I've done painting before, so all those different kind of things have all sort of been involved in the evolutionary process of doing what I do now, I suppose. So they haven't been a waste in that respect. I don't think anything is a waste in life.
Yeah.
It's just a decision, you kind of move, as long as you're moving forward and not backwards, I think.
Yeah, I think it all adds up to your where you are now and where you eventually end up at the end of your life, doesn't it? Everything is an amalgamation of everything you go through, everything you are interested in, you're inspired by, and you choose to pursue. It becomes you. So what makes you the tattoo artist you are right now has been from everything that you've been through in your life, you know what I mean? So whatever it is, whatever.
Totally. I think, and the great thing about this industry is it's so diverse. everybody is different. We all do the same thing essentially, but it's so different, because essentially it's people's personalities that are, you know, developing and being channeled through into the tattoo, I suppose. But yeah, there are some cliches and stuff that still exist, but some of them are amusing and some of them are not. But
yeah, I think of it like this as well, Simon. I think of it as like, you know, when you wanted to become a tattoo artist, and I've always thought this, and then you learn how to actually put ink into the skin, pull a line with different needle groupings, shade, color saturate, etc., etc. You learn all these things as if you were a joiner, and they'd learn how to make a dovetail and do all this kind of stuff, or if you were a welder and you're working with metal fabrication. So you learn all these tools. And then it's how much of an artistic mind you have that determines where you end up as an artist, you know, like, so they can get somebody who's a really good tattooist who can put ink into the skin really well, but can only replicate so-and-so from so-and-so, you know, but then you get a tattoo artist who's going to be like, I think this should go there, that should do that, that should be this dark, it should fit into this. That determines an artist and their level.
Yes, definitely. I think it's really important to master the technical side, and then kind of evolve as an artist after that, and hopefully, you know, the two will evolve together. And then, I mean, personally, from my perspective, I'm still not at a level where I'm doing the sort of tattoos that I want to do all the time, and I think that is a real privilege, and it's a rarity for an artist to be able to do that, you know, and
it is,
and sell their artwork purely from the heart, you know, stuff that they design or draw, or, you know, to be able to do that full time and be known for that is a real achievement. Because a lot of people are still kind of trying to find their way, you know, and not turning down a certain amount of clients, because I don't turn stuff down that I don't want to do. I give everybody the same sort of time and effort. It doesn't really matter what the work is at the moment, because I'm not in a position to do that, you know, and all tattooing is useful.
Yeah.
But eventually, obviously, I'd like to be able to sort of specialise in one particular sort of style that I'm kind of known for, I suppose.
Yeah, I think when I first started, you know, I would always admire that in a lot of the artists that I would look up to, you know, Guy Aitchison, a lot of the people that you would look at and you'd be like, they have developed over the years. They've been a shop tattoo artist. They've done this, they've done that. They've done all the things that they needed to do. They paid the dues, and now their art is what people want. And I think what's hard is as an artist, is to find that. I think it's so hard because you're making your own judgment on it, you know, like, I want to be known for this, and then you try and push it, and you realize that no one really wants it, you know. Like, I was really into biomechanics and bioorganic for quite a long time, and I would try my hardest to push it, and then you realize that in the UK, there's not really much of a bioorganic or biomechanical scene, you know. It's generally in the US, you know what I mean? So I had to drop that ball. I had to move away from that, and I had to focus on, like you say, illustrative kind of things. I've always got realism coming through the door, so that's always a muscle I was always working, you know, because people would always, you do one portrait, you do one lion, for crying out loud, you do, you know, any big cat, before you know it, people want that, and they want more and more and more of that. So you're constantly working that muscle. So it's hard to not be known for realism, but then the hardest thing is to try and break that shackle and be like, no, man, I do this as well. Can you not want this? Like, do you not want that? You want this? You know, it's so fucking hard.
I think it's a healthy thing to have a kind of a backup plan. and something that you can do that isn't that's not going to be too mentally challenging, you know. If you and then there is that kind of other sideline, that other part of you that wants to sort of tail off. But I think, you know, if it's done right and your mind's in the right mind, you know, if you're in the right mindset, that will happen. It will evolve quite naturally, I think, if you let it. I think it's if you force the issue too much, you can end up making mistakes or not, like you say, not fully understanding where you're going with it. It can be really, really frustrating.
Yeah.
Because it is still frustrating. The job the job can be very frustrating. Sometimes it just doesn't work out, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying people make massive mistakes. It's just in here it's not working out, you know. It might be great, but I know how artists persecute themselves. You know, they will do that. It's a natural process.
Not only that, you like we were talking about before, you can create a piece and you can be super happy with it. You can go home and you can look at it and you can be like, yeah, man, I'm super buzzing with that. I'm happy with what I did there. A day later, you could be looking at one of your favorite artists and be like, shit, man, I am just not that person. And then and that is something that you should never do, is compare yourself to other people. You're on your own journey and you're doing your own thing, but still it deflates the balloon that you've blown up.
Isn't it? I mean, it really is. It's always so personal. I mean, it's just so personal. What might look great to the other artists in the studio and the clients, it just doesn't translate to you as a person. And then you just, I don't know, eventually forget about the piece until it comes back in again.
Yeah.
And then you have to start working again on that piece. But I think 9 times out of 10, I look forward to seeing my client, and I don't hold my head in shame and think, well, not unless I'm seeing somebody that I tattooed 4 years ago, maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I've always tried to make sure that everything that leaves the studio, I'm going to be happy with in a couple of years.
Yeah, I always sometimes as well, what can happen with me is I can be happy with a piece, and then and you send it out, it's done. You dermalize it, it's gone, everything's good. And then it comes back like a year later or 6 months later or even 3 months later. And you can be like, whoa, wow, you know, because it's settled and it's in the skin, it's how it's meant to be. And you could even shock yourself. You can be like, that looks good. Oh my God, that looks good. I mean, of course it looks good. Sorry, you know.
I think a lot of artists are too afraid to say that, because in case they start to get that kind of ego development and they're a bit frightened of where they're going to go, and they don't want to become a cock and you know, but do you know what I mean? It's kind of, I think they're reluctant. And well, that's not a bad thing. I think you need to be careful in that respect. But it's not, there's no, of course you should be really, really happy with something if it's really, really worked well.
Yeah.
It's like doing conventions. If you win an award at a convention, you should be proud of your achievements, you know, and if you've won an award, that's great. I think it's, you know, a lot of artists are like, oh, well, you shouldn't be saying that you've won awards, you're award winning and stuff. But I think, why not? You know, you've won an award for a reason. If they, you know, and it's not so much just the event. It's a year's worth of hard work.
Yeah.
You know, that you've got underneath your belt, and to achieve an award, it might just be a tattoo award, but I think it's important, you know, kind of psychologically, it's a step forward.
Yeah, 100%.
You know.
Yeah, 100%.
With tattooing and other guest spots as well, they're really, really useful. They're hard work. I mean, I did my first guest spot last year in Barcelona at a studio called Meat Shop, and it was a real privilege to tattoo in that studio, because it's a really great studio in Barcelona, and it's an honor to work there, you know.
Yeah.
You've got your own reputation, and you're carrying the reputation of their studio as well. So it's all good experience, you know. It's good. It builds character, and anything that is experience is good, isn't it? I mean, as long as it goes okay.
Yeah, no, I think it's unbelievable. I letting you finish there. I think guest spots are like it's incredible how much it can evolve you as an artist and as a
yeah.
tattoo artist. You can
Just as a person, I think.
yeah.
Aside from the tattooing, it's really, really good to go and meet some other artists, you know, in this country, wherever, just to experience a studio over there. It can be really inspiring.
Yeah,
that's the main thing. It was for me, was really, really inspiring.
Yeah, I've learned things from guest spots. I've been to places, I've had people come to me and I've been like, I would have never have done it like that. Shit, right, okay, I'm going to do it like that from now on. You know, I've never, and I think putting yourself in those positions is a really healthy thing to do. But you can easily have a small town mentality and just stick in your own studio and just hunker down. But I think when you realize that the world's a big place and, you know, bigger than your phone, you can go out and meet these people and work with these people. I think it really pushes you as an artist.
It's tough. I think initially it's really, really, really tough. It's not an easy thing to do, but I think the same with a convention, once you've done one, the next one's a little bit easier.
What about?
I'll definitely do more, I think, next year.
Yeah, definitely, man. It'd be good to work one with you. It'd be definitely good to work one.
Oh no, I'd love to do that. Yeah.
That'd be well good. But what was the? Because I'm cognizant that we're getting close. I'm looking at the time. I know you've got a DJ set to do.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But I was just wondering about your the part. How long did you work in the wine industry?
About 10 years. Yeah.
Wow, a decade.
Started in Edinburgh. And then worked in Cheshire, and I was working in a place called Alderley Edge. So I was selling fine wine to footballers, Coronation Street stars. And
wow.
No. It's just, it was a little bit soul destroying. It's a bit of a vacuous little place. And although passionate about wine, you could tell that some people were not interested in the actual subject. It was just all about how much it cost, and I got really disillusioned with it, really, and I just needed to. I needed a big change. I needed some, huge contrast.
Yeah.
And so I found one, and I just went for it, really. I mean, I didn't really have anything to lose. I didn't have any family, so only responsible for myself, really, I guess. So I was lucky in that respect. And I just told myself, I wasn't going to fail. I needed to achieve this.
Yeah, that's good.
It's been worth the hard work. It really has. It's taught me a lot about myself and about other people. Tattooing does do that.
Yeah.
It really does open your eyes, into a different world.
How long have you been a collector? Because you seem to have quite a few. How long have you been collecting tattoos?
Oh no, I don't mean I've got stuff on my legs and my arms. I don't really have anything kind of anywhere else. That's the thing.
Do you have sleeves? Do you have sleeves?
Yeah, it hurts though.
Yeah, it fucking does. Yeah, it sucks.
It's just time, really. I haven't really been collecting. I basically started tattooing on myself. Right, so I hadn't really had any kind of really close involvement with the industry before then. But yeah, I need to get some more for sure.
Yeah, that man, that was a big thing for me. Learning from you can learn tons from just going to people. I remember there's somebody who I'm hoping to get on here, a Brazilian guy called João Bosco. I met him at the Liverpool convention. Yeah. So long ago, 10 years ago. And as soon as I saw him, he was tattooing with his back out, and he had a lined back piece. It's all shaded now and finished, but it was a lined back piece by Philip Liu. And I walked past and I was like, holy shit. I was just like, wow, it took my breath away. I'm talking to him. I was looking at his work, and then I got a sleeve by him, and he was down in London. So there were several trips back down to London, character forming trips of like going down, sitting for 8 hours, coming back up again with it all wrapped up in cling film, sweating, all feeling horrible and stuff. But learning just how different people in different environments, in different shops, because he would move around shops as well. And then I went to Bournemouth. I've collected from a few different people over the years, and just seeing how different people execute their tattoos. I can look at your work and I can be like, fucking clean as a whistle. It's really accurate. It's beautiful. The composition's amazing. You should be so proud. And then I can come and watch you do it, and I can be like, oh, he does it like this. Oh, he's got this, and he's really meticulous with this, you know. So it's because there's some people, man. I remember when I first went and got tattooed of Xiao, he was so like, he would like I would be led down and I'd be getting my arm done, and he would get the Vaseline, just smear it across my chest, get a pot, boom, pop it on my chest, pour some black ink in. So I'm like, I'm sat there, you know, like I can't move because there's this black ink right here.
This strange process.
And he would be singing away. It'd be crazy. It was just crazy. So you learn that different procedures.
Some people are really, some people have. So the technique is so different.
Yeah.
And some people's hand speeds, the machines, obviously. I mean, I predominantly use coils, really. And that's why my hands and my elbow and my shoulders so knackered, because I use steel grips and I use coils because it just suits me, you know. I'm not a big guy, but it's just I can't tattoo with rotaries and carts, really. I've tried carts, I just don't have the confidence.
Right,
I don't have any confidence with them whatsoever. Some people don't struggle in the slightest, but yeah, I just love using coils. Really.
Yeah, I think with some of the large needle groupings you use to pull your lines, you have some really long, crisp, beautiful lines, and I think my opinion is they're better pulled with a coil machine. In anything that you see, the way it's healed without any bleed outs or anything like that, they seem to be pulled better with a coil machine, which is strange, really. But yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I agree with that, man.
Yeah, man. So do you see yourself pursuing this genre? You know, like I think my personal opinion, you know, and I would love people to do this with. I think everybody should have this in a certain sense of a critique. I would say I would love to see you pursue what you're doing, because what you're doing is to me visually pleasing. I think if you keep pushing some larger scale work, even a smaller scale work, whatever you're doing seems to be working, and whatever direction you're going in with what you want to do seems to be working. I'm fully aware that obviously you're throwing work out that pays the bills as well. But I think for me, for you, Simon, I would love to see you just keep doing what you're doing, man, because it's fucking
that's
sick.
really kind, man. Yeah, no, I really like today's been again not really done anything like this, and I haven't really spoken to many tattooists other than the guys I work with or when I've been at a convention. So for you to acknowledge, just do this with me is a real privilege in itself, you know.
Oh man!
So I say thank you as well, and hopefully, when this is all over, we can work with each other.
Yeah, but I honestly love your work. I've loved it since I've seen it, and appreciate you as well as someone that admires.
We should tattoo each other then. Yeah. Well,
yes, we should.
I love some of your work too, man.
It sounds good, man. Dude, I'm gonna let you get going. It's been awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh no, thank you too, man. It's been a real pleasure, and I know we share quite a lot of interests with the outdoors and things like that. So I think we're coming from a similar place, which is always nice to meet someone who has the same outlook and appreciation.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Right, good luck with the rest of the the lockdown, man.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, it's going to be weird, but we'll see. We'll just see how long it lasts.
Yeah.
All right,
just stay safe, man.
Yeah, you too, man. Take care, man. Right. Peace.
Yeah. Peace too.
Bye-bye.